Lr STr Piccolo incoming. But should you summon? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We have the upcoming April Part 2 Lr STr Piccolo, and in this video we are going to answer that age-old question: should you summon for the upcoming LR? As always, in order to answer that question, we are going to take a look at multiple different things. First, we'll take a look at the unit itself. Is the unit worth your summon? Are they good enough for that? Second, we'll take a look at, or at least assume, what we can guess is going to be on the banner, based on their leader skill and other factors. After all, they don't exist by themselves. And then finally, we'll take a look at what lies ahead. If you summon on this banner, what might you give it up in the near future? So let's go ahead and let's start by looking at the unit. So they are a yellow coin LR, and they lead Saiyan Saga and Earth Protecting Heroes for key 3, HP attack against 200%. Pretty standard for yellow coin LRs up to this point. On their 18 key, they are massively raising attack and defense for 1 turn while causing make colossal damage. And on the 12 key, they are greatly raising attack and raising defense for the turn. Passive effect includes key 4, attack defense 250%, and launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack, with a high chance of performing a critical hit and guarding all attacks. When attacking with 12 or more key, it gets 300% attack. When receiving an attack with 12 or more key, defense 200%. When the character is in the second or third to obtain a key sphere within the turn, launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack, and gives Earthbred Fighters categories allies key 1 and attack defense 30%, as well as Saiyan Saga allies key 1 and attack 30% for 2 turns. So 60% attack for Earthbred Fighters and Saiyan Saga characters. For 3 turns, from his entry turn, he has 50% damage reduction, and for 8 turns has a 70% chance to dodge. Starting from the 9th turn, he gets a permanent attack 250% and key 4, and chance for a critical hit and damage reduction rate 60%. Now, once you hit, where is it at here? Once you hit a certain turn, you will be able to stand by into the Goku, which can be activated, I believe, on turn 4, if not immediately. There's no conditions listed here, so I think it can actually be launched immediately. Now, with that said, right, once you go into Goku for the standby, you get attack and defense 300%. Receive an additional key 1 per key sphere obtain, a high chance for a critical hit, and for 5 turns from the entry turn, randomly change key spheres of certain type to STR. He also gets an additional 70% damage reduction, and guards all attacks. Starting from the 6th turn, from his entry turn, he gets an additional 10% damage reduction per key sphere obtained, up to 70%. For every STR key sphere obtained, he gets an additional 60%. All allies attack defense 10%, up to 50%. All enemies defense minus 10%, no more than minus 50. For every type key sphere obtained, right? So if you don't get the STR, you can get this passive. You get defense 70%, and then all enemies 10%, no more than 30%. When attacking with 18 or more key, gets an additional attack 100%. And when the finish skill is not activated, he gets an action cancel with 18 or more key. When receiving an attack or with 18 or more key, gets 150% defense, and when the finish skill is activated, or when attacking with 24 key, he gets 50% attack and performs a critical hit when there's a pure Saiyans enemy or extreme class enemy. Now, his finish skill raises attack temporarily by 17% per charge count obtained and causes super ultimate damage, with the finish skill being activated with 50% or more, and you have 9 turns to complete that, so it shouldn't be that difficult. So all in all, like, the unit itself is very good. We'll have to see how content plays out, whether we get the long form content to really take advantage of those 9 turns, but even in the current content that we have, they will do very, very well. They are a very powerful unit. As a yellow coin LR, if you were to dip your toes into this banner, it would definitely be worth your summon. They are that good. Granted, that is provided you pulled the new Namek Saga or not Namek Saga, Saiyan Saga, Vegeta, and Nappa, because they definitely want to be on that team for the 220. They're going to be really hurting for some of the leaders here if for the 220%. So otherwise, right, the unit itself is very good and definitely worth the summon. But of course, these units don't exist on a vacuum, right? They will be on a banner, and unfortunately, we are talking about a yellow coin banner. And here, let's check out what I mean here for a second. So let's actually pull up a previous yellow coin banner here. Let's take a look here. Let's go banners. And let's go to I believe the last yellow coin banner was actually in November. So we got to go a little ways back here. Here it is, right? So this is the last yellow coin banner we had. So you'll be seeing something a little like this. There will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 featured units, right? 3 of which will be LRs, or actually might be 4 of which. It depends. Some banners have been 3, some have been 4, but let's assume 3 to 4 LRs. Now, we could probably safely assume that this guy will probably return during the banner. If not, that's fine, right? We'll have the new unit, right? And then we'll have 3 other LRs. We can safely assume, based on the EZA data, that the Fizz, LR, Goku, and Piccolo will be on the banner. So that's 2 units taken care of, right? 2 of the 3 possible LRs taken care of. I would assume that if we were looking at their categories here, for example, right? We'll just pull up Saiyan Saga real quick. Right? Since they definitely want Saiyan Saga allies, I could definitely see them dropping Tech Vegeta or Kaioken Goku on the banner, right? That would make very sense, getting one of them on the banner for those Saiyan Saga allies. If not, then I could definitely see, right, if we go to Earthbred Fighters, the other unit being where is it at here? They're a bit older, these guys here. The Ints, Goku, and Piccolo, right? Otherwise, the rest of the cards are all going to be just like random SSRs, right? Possibly I would definitely assume that the Nappa and the Tech Raditz will be on the banner, but otherwise I would assume that the rest of these characters are probably going to be the 2 Goku Piccolos. If not, the baby bros should be on there, based on previous trends. Either way, the banner itself not looking too hot. It's looking pretty standard legendary summon type banner. Now the nice thing is, because it is a legendary type banner, there is pity, right? 200 coin pity for this. You will also have your 2+1s, I'm going to call them, right? 2 multis, and you get a guaranteed featured multi. So it's not a terrible deal, but I don't recommend people going too deep on it. So honestly, knowing that those are the types of units to be on the banner, I can't really give a full recommendation on the banner itself. It's a little sketchy, right? It's not going to be a good banner other than the main LR and the Goku and Piccolo Fizz. So that begs the question then, right? We got 1 for the unit. We got none for the banner, so what lies ahead? If we summon on STR Piccolo, what are we giving up in the near future? Well, first and foremost, the immediate consequence, right, is that we have Golden Week coming up here, which should be by the 27th or 28th of this month. And so if we were to assume it's probably something hype, right? Could be there's some hints leading towards Namek. There's some hints leaning towards a few other areas, even possibly a big Saiyan Saga, specifically Goku versus Vegeta. Who's to say? We really can't say what it's going to be yet. However, right, if Golden Week is one of those big celebrations you're looking at, then definitely summoning on this banner is definitely going to hurt you in that regard. So that's, keep that in mind for whatever summons you intend to do here. Following this, of course, we get your standard June Dokkan Fest, right? It'll probably be a skippable unit, usually is. When it comes to the June Dokkan Fest, last year was Tau, ended up being pretty good, but there's no guarantee that the June Dokkan Fest will be really good. Following the June Dokkan Fest, though, we have a big change in our schedule. See, last year we led into July after June, which led us into the Global Dokkan campaign, and that was to celebrate essentially Global's anniversary. Well, after player feedback, they decided to switch that, and now we will be moving into the Transcendent Dokkan campaign in July and the Global Dokkan campaign closer to September. And this follows JP's previous schedule, with Tanabata being in July following that. So Tanabata last year was, of course, as many of you guys know, the Golden Frieza and Gogeta. So we'll probably see something, you know, some LR type deal. This will also be the place where the anniversary units return as well. So, you know, knowing if you're somebody who usually waits for that banner, you know, just know that summoning here is taken away from that opportunity. And if that weren't enough, right, following that, of course, you know, we'll have our August Dokkan Fest, but then rolling into September, we'll get the big GDC units, right? So last year that was Omega and Gogeta, and of course the Blues and Rose. So, you know, we're really in a spot where you want to be saving as much as you can, and as good as these guys are, probably not going to be a big draw for many players, especially if you didn't summon on the Nappa and Vegeta. It's also worth noting that there's a good chance they could show up on the banner during the double raids banner during TDC, if not during GDC. Usually this LR ends up on the GDC banner, so it's very possible, you know, he'll end up there and you can just avoid summoning here altogether. So honestly, I can't give a full recommendation based on what lies ahead. So based on those three categories, right, we got one for the unit, none for the banner, and none for what lies ahead. I'm gonna have to give a tiered recommendation on this one. At this point, most players should be saving their stones for the big GDC banners. However, if you're sitting anywhere over 1,000 stones, I would say it probably wouldn't hurt to do at least 1 to 2 rounds, that is 150 stones, 300 stones at max if you're anywhere over 1,000, to get at least 2 shots at a guaranteed feature. Of course, you will have your Dokkan Day tickets. Don't forget about those. Make sure you use those first. But I would say do no more than that. If you're anywhere between 800 and 1,000, I would say no more than 1 rotation for 1 guaranteed featured shot. Otherwise, anything below that should probably be looking at saving any stones you may have. Anything below 800 should be looking at saving. The reason being is between now and GDC, which is the next big LR celebration, aside from TDC, but the next big LR celebration we know that has pity will have a 2,500 stone pity, a 500 coin pity, which means you want to be saving as much as you can. So I don't recommend doing that much on this banner, unless you are pay to play or low to play. Of course, if you are pay to play, low to play, make sure you go after those tickets. They'll probably save you a lot, as well as get you a quick, easy coin so you can trade sooner. But otherwise, most free players should probably steer clear of this banner if you're anywhere below 800 stones. So guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, will you be summoning for STr, Piccolo, and Goku? They look really fun. I'm kind of excited to see how a standby special beam cannon was going to work out in game. But let us know what you plan on doing in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.